Let's poke out another video. Now, Classic is a really expansive game. While the leveling process from 1 to 60 to some feels like the majority of it, once level 60, there can be kind of endless farms and goals to work towards. I feel as though there's always something new that I seem to be chasing after every single time I log in.
I don't know about that.
Most of the times, the goal is quite simple. In other occasions, it can take an insane amount of dedication.
This is a brand new video, guys. I'll link it to you guys.
This is especially true when rare spawns are involved. Rare mobs, either in dungeons or out in the world, who aren't always there. They either spawn on a massive time interval from like 6 hours to 2 days, or they have a low chance to spawn within the dungeon itself, meaning you can't just endlessly farm them on each dungeon ID. Chasing rare spawns is a big part of the game, whether it's taming a hunter pet, chasing a pre-BIS item from a dungeon rare spawn,
I think that makes
or
it
trying
interesting.
to claim a rare recipe from another. Rares are an integral aspect in Classic WoW endgame for the most part, and there's tons of them out there. I mean, check out this list of all the rare spawns in Classic WoW. It's pretty hefty. So that's really the concept of this video.
The rare spawns, like, they've always had rare spawns in the game, but I don't like how they've done rare spawns recently. And like ever since WoD, I remember like as soon as WoD came out and the beta or alpha came out and I got into it and I was like, oh wow, look at all these rare spawns. They're everywhere, dude. This is crazy. And I killed one and then it just respawned like 5 minutes later. I was like, or 5 seconds later, I was like, wait, what? Like, I hate how they changed rare spawns in like the later part of the game. I really think it's a bad idea.
Best rare spawns in Classic WoW that you might need to farm. Let's get into it. Alright, so first on the list, we've got Bannock Grimaxe, who's the Firebrand Legion champion in Lower Blackrock Spire. He has a chance of spawning under one of these little huts at the bottom floor where all of those orc champions and orc mages are scattered throughout. The mob density down there is really heavy, so you guys probably know exactly what I'm talking about. He drops 3 items. One is Chiselbrand Girdle, Bakusarian Gauntlets, which are honestly both pretty trash, Demon Fork, which is a decent main hand axe for the most part. I mean, if you have nothing else as a Fury Warrior. But really what people are looking for here is the plans for Arcanite Reaper.
We never got these, man.
Vanilla
I was so upset. I thought that we were going to get them. Did not happen though, unfortunately.
Right now we're playing on patch 1.12, where weapon damage in respect to the weapon's speed has been slightly normalized. Slower weapons still hit harder with a lot of your strikes, specifically like Mortal Strike. But during the initial release of Classic, during the earlier patches, weapon speed was way different, and in a lot of ways the Arcanite Reaper was better than two-handed weapons that you can get in raid tiers like Molten Core and beyond. This was the two-handed axe that you pretty much saw every warrior, every ret paladin, and every shaman using. It did an absolutely bonkers amount of damage, especially with Wind Fury on the horde side.
62
it only does
AP is insane.
53.8 DPS.
Like 62,
but the top
it's ridiculous.
end is 256, which is really high for a blue 58 weapon.
I don't really need to use this, honestly. Like, I mean, Obsidian Edge Blades is 1,000 times better, but Arcanite Reaper, if you don't have an MC weapon or something like that, Arcanite Reaper is like the weapon to have.
This was something that pretty much everyone was going after. It's also something that was really lucrative in terms of making money. Having this recipe and being able to craft these axes and then sell them or craft them for a fee was a pretty good way of making gold. I'd say less so nowadays. People are kind of over this weapon, but it's still going to be always viable, especially people on alts who just want a good two-hander to go PvP on their alt warrior, their alt enhancement shaman. This is going to be something that people are really looking after. So there we got Bannock Grimaxe, the guy who drops the plans for the Arcanite Reaper. All right, here we go. Another dungeon rare
This
spawn.
is the fucking cloak mob.
Spine from Strat
the fucking cloak. I don't have this cloak.
I kind of might have seen people chasing after on many streams. I've tuned into a bunch of the top streamers and seen them farming this guy for days. If you guys have done the dungeon, you know that there's gargoyles that are sort of roaming around all over the place at a really fast pace. They're really flying around there, and a lot of the times they cause wipes, especially if they're the screechers that are getting ass pulled into the group and then fearing you into another pack. Now, one of these gargoyles has a chance of being a rare spawn.
I know.
And his name, like I just said,
I'm fully aware.
Stone Spine. He drops some really nice items. The first one is Gargoyle Shredder Talons, which is just a whatever weapon.
It's a dog shit ass weapon. Nobody wants that.
The next 2 items are really heavily sought after. The first one being Stone Skin Gargoyle Cape, which right now is the best PvP cloak that you can get. So with things like the duel tournament coming up on specific...
I don't think it's the best. I think mine's better. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, I just see mine as being better. It has more strength, more stamina. It doesn't have agi. I feel like mine's just better overall. It's just better. So I don't know if it's the best in the game. I feel like a lot of these, not for PvP. Wait, what? How is it not better? Like, are you guys crazy? It has resists on it. Stone Skin is better. So you think that for PvP, losing 8 stamina and 2 strength in order to gain 8 agility and also half as much armor. So losing all of that is worth it for 8 agility. Ah, God.
Specific servers, people are gunning after this one. It gives 14
and
stamina.
I have resist.
It's really strong on
And
warriors,
it has resist.
enhancement shamans, feral druids, and I'd say even rogues. I saw a couple guys from apes on stream farming this for days. But the next piece is a BIS item for pretty much every healer except for the cloth healer being the priest, meaning paladins, shamans, and druids. It's called the Verdant Footpads, and right now I'm helping my brother on his druid farm this one, and it's really, really brutal. It does have a decent chance to actually
drop last time we killed
so
them
it's not like you have to get the rare spawn and then he has a really low chance to drop the item that you want. It does drop a decent amount, but I still haven't seen him. These boots are really, really good for PvE. They have no stats on them, just a huge amount of bonus healing.
That's all that matters.
Plus 37. So Stone Spine is definitely something that endgame raiders, specifically healers, are chasing after.
Dude, if you had that
time.
on druid, man, that'd be fucking badass.
All right, now here's a rare spawn that took me, I think, 4 days
is it
of
Zarkotl?
farming every single night non-stop in order to get him, and that's with layering, which made it a whole lot easier. And specifically, it was before they reduced Carolina to 2 layers. There was a good amount of layers at that point. We're talking about Broken Tooth, who's the rare elite cat mob out in the Badlands that
because he's a fast
hunter
That's
is going after. This guy's a pain in the ass to farm.
1.0 attack speed, I believe,
to 8 hour respawn time, and he can spawn in 3 specific locations. So you can't just camp one spawn location.
If I saw Broken Tooth in the Badlands, I would probably not kill him. I would probably not kill him because it's actually that rare. And like I've killed, I remember, you guys remember, like, you ever played in Wrath? Do you remember that one fucking spirit beast? And his name was, it was in Sholazar Basin, not Garnia. That was in fucking Time Missile. Loquanak, is that what it was? What was it called? Lupos? Skull? I think it was Loquanak. Yeah, whatever the fuck it was called. And it was this super, super rare spirit beast. And it spawned, and there was a hunter trying to tame it. I kill it, and then I kill the hunter. I still remember that. It's been 10 years. I still fucking remember that. It was beautiful.
And expect to see him after the time interval. He can spawn in these 3 spots in the north of Badlands, right next to Alderman. The way you get this pet is you stand on top of this rock over here with your hunter, and you just keep casting Eagle Eye at the 3 spawn locations over and over again. The night that I got him, I was pretty much just on that rock for absolute hours, casting Eagle Eye over and over and over and over again. It got to the point where I was just getting so worn out, and then luckily enough, he actually spawned, and I got really, really excited. It was a great moment. But the 4 days that I spent farming him got pretty demoralizing at certain points.
I'll bet.
It was really rough to power through it. Not to mention, I was constantly battling with either other hunters on my faction or even opposing hunters on the other faction, which sometimes turned into absolute brawls where I would be killing a hunter and then he would call over some friends and then they'd start camping me and then I'd have to call over my guildies from Ironforge, and it would just became this like 10 versus 10 battle at one point. It was kind of crazy, to be honest.
And
but
you're
through
never
sheer
gonna
dedication and force
it's a waste
of will,
of time.
I did end up getting the pet, and it felt absolutely amazing when I did get him. I let out a battle cry and felt really, really good. And now I've had my pet for a while. He's level 60 and he's pretty much my best friend in the game. And the memories that I have of fighting other people in order to secure the spawn location or secure the farming location where I can see all different spawns are some really nice vanilla memories that are going to stick with me for a while. Although
So I like that. I think that's really cool. The only thing I wish they did is like Lupos, for example. Lupos is a dog in Duskwood, and he does shadow damage, or he used to do shadow damage, and they changed it. The only thing I don't really particularly like about Broken Tooth is that he's like the best pet. Broken Tooth, as far as I know, is like the best pet. There's nothing else really that's better than that at all. Lupos? No, yeah. And until ZG. Well, yeah, until ZG. I don't remember what comes out in ZG, but something else is very good. Yeah, the best PvP pet. Yeah, the best PvP pet. That's what I mean to say. because he interrupts casters very fast. That's why the attack speed is more important, is because it interrupts casters, it cancels their spells more, and that's why it's good. But the point that I'm making, right, is that I wish that there were more pets in the game that had equally powerful things that they could do. I think that was cool. It's too bad they didn't release Loot Post with like the spirit damage or like the shadow damage. Maybe that'd be OP though, honestly.
Where once your server is reduced to 1 layer, this is going to be hotly contested and a lot more difficult to secure. Here's a screenshot of 3 different hunters, or maybe 4, I can't remember off the top of my head, all trying to tame Broken Tooth at the exact same time. This is how
I'm your best friend. No, I'm your best friend. No, come over to me.
Here's one of my favorite rare spawns in the entire game, and it kind of feels bad a little bit for me because I had this item that he drops on Nostalrius on my hunter then, and after Blizzard nuked those servers, I lost it, and now I have to start all over again. But I promise you I will get this item eventually. So the rare spawn is called Hearthsinger Forreston. He's on the main gate side or Stratholme Live in the early portions, near the Unforgiven, that ghost boss that drops the mask that you see every melee with. So he's got a couple of decent items. He's got the woolies of the Prancing Minstrel, which is whatever. The Songbird Blouse, which is actually quite good for Feral Druid DPS or Feral Druid PvP specifically. He's got the Rainbow Girdle, which is an alright item for Rep Paladins, I guess. And most notably, he drops the Magister's Boot. So if you have a mage that's just for some reason looking to get his entire tier 0 set, he's the one who drops them, which is kind of a pain since he's a rare spawn. But the most important item that he drops is not necessarily a pre-raid item, it's more of a novelty item. It's called Piccolo of the Flaming Fire. And I'm sure all of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about here. If you've ever been in Ironforge, let's say, or pretty much any main city, and you're hanging out at the mailbox and suddenly your character just happens to burst out in a dance, and then you look around and notice that literally everyone around you within a certain vicinity is all dancing, that's this item. It's a trinket that you can get from this specific rare spawn that has a 1-minute cooldown and an on-use effect that causes nearby players to dance. So I
think that's cool. Like I one of the changes that they did back in like throughout the years of WoW, and they've made like more of these like items like this that are just like kind of cool, and you know, like the toys basically. I think the toys in the game are really awesome. The only problem that I have with the toys in the game now is there's so many of them, is you have like this fucking, there's like a black hole that people can create of all of their toys, and it's just really fucking weird. And so besides that though, I like the I like these toys a lot. They're really cool. You can interrupt their eating, best troll ever. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can interrupt people's eating with this. I remember there was something stupid like that.
You can just sit around in the middle of a bunch of people, click the trinket, and then force everyone and all of their character models to start dancing. They might move their character so they can stop dancing, but then the moment they stop moving, they're dancing again. It's just a fun little item to have. It's cool in raids too, if ever there's a bathroom break, or people are, you know, getting world buffs and getting ready for raid, or you're on the Zeppelin on your way on the boat. To just use this and force everyone to dance is just a cool little thing to have. And of course, in main cities is probably where it's most prevalent. So that's Piccolo of the Flaming Fire, one of the coolest items in the game, at least in my opinion. All right, now these next 2 on the list, you guys know exactly what they are, so we're not going to spend too much time covering them, but just a little disclaimer here that obviously these have to be on the list.
This is the Jed
Everyone
one.
knows
this
about
is the
them.
one
They're
everybody's trying to farm,
but let's cover them nonetheless.
Yeah.
The first one is Jed Runewatcher. So if you guys have been seeing in world chat or looking for group chat, people have been saying UBRS Jed runs or UBRS Jed/Ren runs.
The trinket,
this refers to the rare spawn in Upper Blackrock Spire. His name is Jed Runewatcher, and what people are doing to farm this guy is break up group, and then each individual person will go into a different UBRS ID. They'll make a macro to /target Jed, and if someone gets him, they'll all group up into that raid ID and clear the instance that has Jed, virtually guaranteeing the rare spawn. Now the reason why people go
see, like the shit that people think of now, like I don't remember anybody doing that in vanilla WoW. Like nobody even did that in vanilla WoW. Maybe I'm wrong and people did do it, it just wasn't on my server, but it's just really funny to see how much more efficient people are now, and how they just fucking changed the meta of the game by being that efficient. We didn't know about Jed? Yeah, I didn't know about it either, man. Have you tried typing /target carapace? No, Nixie. It doesn't work that way, okay?
So heavily out of their way to force Jed runs is because he drops the best trinket right now available for casters and even healers, although a lot of healers are getting some better ones coming with Dire Maul release. It's called the Briarwood Reed, and I've covered it many times on this channel before. It's just a trinket that has a flat 29 spell power on it. It's kind of like the entry level Neltharion's tier, I guess, in a certain way. Of course, it's not even comparable whatsoever, considering it's missing a ton of spell power and 2% spell hit. I guess it's kind of a similar trinket in a certain way. And right now, every single caster is gunning after this, just like when Blackwing Lair is released, every single caster wants Neltharion's tier, right? I'd say Jed is probably the most sought after rare spawn in the entire game right now in Classic, and with good reason. This trinket is really good. Now the next one that's really common and everyone knows about, you probably guessed it, is Prince Nazjac. Prince Nazjac is level 40-ish rare spawn who appears at a couple different locations underwater south of Arathi Highlands off the shore. There's a couple little shipwrecks over there and a little bit of a Naga encampment in an underground sunken village, I guess you could say, or sunken ruins. Now this is probably the hardest rare spawn in the entire game to secure, and I'm not kidding when I say that. The reason is he has a 30 to 48 hour respawn timer. That's super long. He only spawns once every 2 days almost. And the item that you're looking for off this guy is called Tidal Charm, which is one of the best PvP trinkets in the entire game. Once again, even throughout level 60, it's better than most engineering trinkets.
I don't know really as like a warrior, right? Because like obviously I'm already doing my stuns with like intercept and everything. I don't know if I should go after Tidal Charm or not. Like I kind of would want to, but at the same time, I don't know if it's really worth the opportunity to go after. You should. I mean, but here's the problem: is that like you just have to be AFK for so long farming that shit out. I feel like it's just going to be boring, right? It's going to DR good content. Yeah, standing in the water for 5 hours is good content. Yeah, you'd never get it on stream. Yeah, I think so. You got to camp it for like 18 hours. Yeah. It'd be nice to have, but like realistically, I'm not sure if that's ever going to fucking happen. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's DR. Yeah, I feel like I'd probably, like, for warriors, I think that there are just better trinkets in general.
It's a ranged instant cast stun on a 15-minute cooldown, which is quite reasonable considering how good it is in respect to some other trinkets that you might see out there with similar effects or worse effects. Now, for the most part, you might think, well, it's kind of a crappy spawn location. Now, the 30 to 48 respawn timer is not the only thing that makes this super annoying. He spawns underwater, so you need to have...
That's so fucking ridiculous. I'll be right back. I had to take a piss, guys. Sorry. Give me a sec.
What a day. What a fucking day, man. What a fucking day. Oh, man. What a fucking day. Hey, did you guys know that Rhett is bad? You guys know that? Yeah. It's not a good spec. Just so you guys know.
I'm back. Some of that.
Underwater breathing, the hydro cane potentially, or the deep dive helmet from engineering, so that you can sit there all day underwater without having to constantly go up for breath. His spawn locations are pretty spread out. There's the two ones in the ships, in the sunken ships, and then he's got a couple other ones that are further past the ruins. This means that you kind of have to swim around over and over again to get in range to be able to target him or to catch him, and he's constantly contested. People are sitting there all day and they might be horde and want to kill you, and if you're a hunter like me, it's really hard for you to fight underwater, especially against ranged DPS. The next part that makes it really frustrating is that it doesn't have a 100% chance to drop. You could be lucky enough to actually see Prince Nazjac, kill him, and then the title charm doesn't even drop. It has a 40% chance, so for the most part you're gonna get it, but if you're really unlucky, you might not see it. You might just see a random green item, and then you have to wait another 30 to 48 hours for him to spawn.
I would want to jump off a building if that happened. I would be so angry.
It could take weeks just to see him once.
Holy
then you might see
fuck,
him
man.
not get the title charm and have to restart from scratch.
I feel like a lot of people, though, like, one thing that's good about it in Classic is that you know that it's going to be there. And, like, if you get it now, because, like, Classic doesn't change. So, like, in Retail WoW, you're always worried about, like, oh, well, the expansion's going to come out and it's going to make this thing irrelevant, so I don't want to go after it. Or the next patch is going to come out or whatever, it's not going to be good. But with Classic, you already know what's going to come out. So, if you want to farm this out now, you know you've got it for, like, a year and a half until they introduce, like, BC or something. So, I think that the fact that people know that there's going to be a lot of longevity with the items and everything, it makes them more willing to farm them.
Information being that you have an idea of when he's going to spawn again, but the interval is so big from 30 to 48 hours that you can get pretty unlucky in terms of how he respawns with your sleep schedule. So Prince Nazjac is something that I've pretty much given up on by now. For the first couple of weeks of Classic, I was going there every single day. I would spend some weekends where I'd have my character logged in there and I would just be video editing on the side. But right now, I'm just done with it because once I get into one of those farms, I can't stop and I get really obsessed with it. So I've had to pull myself away from it and not even think about it. But it's super painful and really difficult. And if you get it, then you're a freaking legend, boys.
All right, so the last one on this list is not necessarily the greatest, but has a really, really unique item that I felt just had to be on this list, considering how interesting it is. The rare spawn's name is Gorluk Anvilcraft, who has a chance to spawn in Upper Blackrock.
He spawns every time. What do you mean?
Jed
Runewatcher can spawn.
Spawns every
He's got a couple
time.
interesting items. The first one is the Mastersmith's Hammer.
No, I guess that's a good mace for
Shadow
Paladins.
Priest or Boomkin weapon, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
maybe even a healer if you don't have the one from Blackrock Depths.
Is there
He's got the
anything really
Flame
good off
Walkers,
of this
which
guy?
I guess are pretty decent. Maybe for a tank who wants a fire resist set. They have a lot of fire resistance on them, although they're not plate, which is not the greatest, but not the worst either. He's got the handcrafted Mastersmith girdle, which is okay, I guess, for PvP in a certain way. And then he's got a bunch of blacksmithing plans that he can draw. The first one is Masterwork Stormhammer, which is actually pretty cool. It's a main hand mace that can blast up to 3 targets for a nature damage proc. So it's a mace that can proc an AoE effect, which is, I think, probably the only one of its kind apart from maybe Thunder Fury. He's got Arcanite.
There's also the mace that drops from Entu Azul inside of ZF that does the same mechanic as well. The Entu Azul mace is the true Scuff Thunder Fury. This is basically just a higher level version of it.
Champion, which is a 2-handed sword that can heal and increase your strength by 120. It's kind of like a really buffed up Crusader proc. And the most interesting one is really random, but it's called Invulnerable Mail. It's a mail chest piece with plus 13 defense for some reason, and it has an equip proc. This effect can only occur once every 30 seconds. So every 30 seconds, you can proc a total invulnerability, kind of like a limited invulnerability effect that makes you completely immune to melee attacks. Now, I'm not sure if this works like Bop or limited invulnerability potion, where you lose aggro when you become invulnerable. I have a feeling it doesn't work like that, which is pretty cool, I guess. It's kind of RNG. You can just go for 3 seconds.
I mean, this would be really good if it was in PvP and it resisted caster attacks as well. Like, if it resisted caster attacks, it would be fucking insane. But I don't know, like, maybe if I made one of these for PvP. Oh, it's only 3 seconds? I thought it was 5. Yeah, fuck that.
And not take any damage from a boss when tanking it and do that every 30 seconds. It's kind of cool, and I definitely thought it was worth putting on this list. And the last part is he has the bottom half of Advanced Armor Smithing Volume 1, which is used actually in Dynamol in order to learn the Enchanted Thorium plate set. Alright friends, that's the list. A bunch of really awesome, and I guess some maybe less awesome rare spawns with some really unique items.
Let me see what the Enchanted Thorium set is here. So you've got the helmet. So the reason why we're not going to get the Enchanted Thorium gear is the Arcanite bars. The Arcanite bars are just too expensive. So the helmet is outclassed by the Might and the Wrath set. The legs are outclassed by basically anything. I mean, I guess like 8 defenses. The legs are slightly better than what I have, and so is the chest piece for tanking specifically. And I'd like to actually get the chest piece, but it just costs so much money. I don't think it's worth it. I'd rather just wait for the Might chest piece.
The Enchanted Thorium plate set. Alright friends, that's the list. A bunch of really awesome, and I guess some maybe less awesome rare spawns with some really unique items. I mean, the most obvious one for sure is obviously Prince Nazjac. Everyone knows that guy. Yeah. But he's kind of the worst. I've been completely demoralized in my chase after Title Charm, It feels like an impossible feat, but a lot of the endgame ones, specifically those that spawn in dungeons, are definitely a lot more viable pursuits for the average player. If you guys know of any notable rare spawns that I may have missed for this video, feel free to let me know in the comment section as usual. You guys always have the best insight, the best info. If you like this video, want to see more like it, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, of course, you know the drill, soldiers. Make sure to hit the notification bell to be notified every single time I post a new video straight
Are we
out
soldiers
of the render
now?
oven. And with that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Okay. Okay, so the thorium, enchanted thorium armor, like somebody just said something that was a really good fucking idea. Like, let me show you guys something real quick. I'm gonna do this in classic, okay? I just thought they sent me this. I want to try this out. Rend Blackhand. Give me one second here. Rend Blackhand. Look at what this guy drops here. Give it a minute. Dude. If I use this against a rogue. Dude, I could use those shoulders against a fucking rogue. That would be disgusting. Like, that's so fucking good, man. I'm gonna do that next time, 100%.